Hi, Patrick.
Hi.
Thank you for your time. We are here in your office, an architect's office, obviously. You are an architect, but also you had a career as professor, lecturer, and I counted them, you won with the last one 36 awards, first prizes in architecture, so obviously you are very successful. I am always interested, what do you personally think why you are so successful, please?
It's a difficult question.
I know.
I'm personally, I don't feel very successful, but it is as it is.
Yes.
And for example, it's interesting that you count all the first prize.
Because I was impressed. I read through.
Never did that before.
I
So we always making competitions. We always have 3, 4, 5 competition running together. We are happy that we maybe from 10 we have won one, and that's like the motor of the gasoline of our office. Mm-hmm. We always need that. That's the way we get to work to get.
You are head of the office and you guide your people and you guide yourself also privately. You are going very smoothly through life, as I see you, chilled, and you are in the place you want to be. And there must be a point where you think, yes, this is a trait that guides me, a trait that brings this success.
No, yeah, probably, but I really like to design. That's my main. I like to draw. I like to design, but I'm not an artist. I'm an architect, and the difference between artist and architect is that the artist have a white has the Leinwand line, and as an architect we always have a program, like 100 apartments with community space, stairs, and I really like to have like a goal, like a program, and to think about this program in my head and then draw it, and that's I love that kind of job, and that's why I like to making competitions, not because of the competition, but because of the work is always new, it's always different. But to be honest, if we do a competition, we also want to win. We are in this way. We are like a player or a football game. We want to win. And what also is interesting, you have when you're doing a competition, you always doing it in a team.
So
you have to be a team player. You have to motivate your employees. You have engineers. You have house technics planner. You have a investor. You have such a lot of people who is working on this goal. And I really also like to bring all together, and also to motivate let's go in. This is the way. So, and sometimes we are happy to win. Sometimes we lose. But at the end, when I learn the most, is not from the winning. It's from the losing competitions.
Yeah.
Because then you have to think about why I have lost this competition. Or you always think it's the best idea, but then you see that your colleagues and so are maybe most time they are really have the better design, and then you look at them and they say, okay, you have to rethink that, and then always this, and I really like this, always going on, and trying to be better and better and better.
Yeah, it's curiosity, tenacity, and resilience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And I read about you said somewhere, our architecture aims at making the residents happy.
Yeah.
And that's really an extremely nice goal. It's not about being famous, it's not about having the best salary, it's making others happy.
Yeah, that's my profession, my goal. As an architect, you have a lot of possibility. You can build libraries, you can build schools, universities. But since I wanted to be an architect, always was interested in living, in how the people live, how my friends live, that was always, even before I was an architect, I was interested how my schoolmates, how they live and how it smells, and it's also an interesting in the culture of living. And when I started my office, I recognized that design apartments that really I'm interested the most. And since over 30 years, we are focused on housing.
Yeah.
And housing, for example, when we have, we made 2 or 3 schools, but now we also had an invitation for a competition for a school. We said, oh, no, thank you. I want to make a design houses.
Apartment house.
Yes, that's what I really, and when I make apartment, I always think, how, and I have to say it in another way. And what is interesting when you build apartments, you didn't know the people who lives in this apartment. So you always have to think about who could be there, and then I think I'm quite a normal guy, and I also think what I don't like, I think also the people don't like who should live in it. So I always think, oh no, I don't like that. I do it like this. I don't do it like this. And my goal or my aim is always that I design an apartment, and I also would like to live in this apartment. That's my how to say, my quality or my Anspruch, the aim of doing
a result you want to achieve.
Yeah. And if I don't like it, then I say, no, you have to redesign it till it's like...
Till you feel comfortable in it. So
my imagination, because it's always at first it's a drawing, not but what I really also like in our profession is that at the end you can move through these buildings to this. So I see what was in my head is at the end is three-dimensional build with concrete, wood, or whatever. And you hear it. You have the echo. You have, and that's really that's. I think it's the most beautiful profession, because at the end you see what you have done, and you will also see the good, but you also see maybe the things are not so successful. For me, it's always difficult to go on the construction side. Because I always see, it's awful. And I always recognize, and that's also something. Or also when you see all these plans, I have I always see the faults.
Yeah.
Always, and that's also, I don't like them, and so I also have to redesign and make.
You're really competitive with yourself. Yeah, with yourself.
Probably I'm the most critics to myself.
Well, that's good, because the result is okay. You are successful. We did, it was so interesting, when we met this morning, you showed us how you walk to your office to get your thoughts straight, and you walk back in the evening to leave everything out, and you ironed your shirt. That's also interesting. It's sort of meditation for you.
I always start the day ironing my shirt. It's a moment to start the day to start thinking. I do it always the same. I start with the, how to say, collar, and then I did the back, and then the sleeves, and then I do it always the same. And I never have a T-shirt on or something. I always have to have a checkered shirt.
And we saw also that you made your ironing place at perfection. It was really the nice sizes, everything. And I think it was like a symbol for your work.
When I'm interested in housing, then I think I also want to check it out with myself.
Yeah.
What I like, and so I really like to design for myself. I really want to have it tailored for me, and that's why, for example, I wanted to have a room where I can iron my shirts, and I thought I want it like this and only like this, and I did it with my wife. We needed quite a lot of time to find out how we function, each person, and then also how we want to live together, and what we need, and it was really interesting to knowing each other, or to get another, that was really, and it was beautiful. And that's also we really like to build the houses together, like to build the net.
We also saw, you were so kind to show your house. We also saw lots of art, and obviously I always ask, what is the impact of art? Or you've walked through the cemetery, for example. You like nature, and where do you recharge?
An apartment or a house is always like a shell, and there should be like the background for everybody's life. And you shouldn't feel the architect. It should be like a shell, like the background, and then the life from each person who lives in this. He should decorate it how he like it. It's not for me. It's for the client. And I'm a collector now, and I really like to fill it up, and like it's like the memory of my life, or the like you buy a painting, and then that reminds me that at the moment, or for example when I win a competition, then I always buy something for me, like a chair or a painting, a reward, And so, for example, that's like to see how the life is going on, and also you have your memories, and you see the memories, and so on. And that's one thing. But you also ask about my walking. First, I need to be in move. I also like to jog or making sport and like this. But I recognize that it's probably better for me, and probably also better for the employees. For example, when I walk from the home to the office and think about the day, what it brings, and the same in the evening when I go back, I leave the office, and then I think about a little bit what happened today. That was good, that was bad, and then I can leave it somewhere between the office and home, and I don't come home and have to tell my wife, oh, this was bad, that was because if you are an architect, and if you build the house, then the workers, they always do it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And so you have to handle that. And I learned that it's not a mistake, it's a chance. Okay. If something is bad or is getting the wrong way, I say, okay, what can we do? Okay, then let's do. We have to change that, or we have to, and I think that's also a good way to handle the how do you say
the challenge, whatever. Yeah. And nature, you are often in nature.
Yeah, I really like to walk, going to the nature, seeing the the times of the years, feeling today I see it's warm, then it smells a little bit other than in the and so I when I walk from home to the office or back, I don't go the shortest way, I go the nicest way. So so I walk through where I think the cemetery, for example, and also the cemetery. It's always, I think it's interesting because the cemetery itself is like a city. It has ways, it has places, and you always you see the graves, and I think you see how our respect is with the dead. That's how really also I think it's important. It has something to do with the life.
Yeah. I saw today different graves, and you could tell from what was written there. This person was loved, and the others, not that they were happy. Yeah, not they were happy that he died, but it was goodbye, and it's like a mirror. Yeah, and you walk through there, and it's a very nice cemetery. It's a cemetery you can tell the seasons and everything. And the nicest thing is you arrive at home chilled.
Yeah.
That's good in effect. That's what you recharge, how you recharge. I'm very interested in the question. You have now your life, you seem very satisfied, chilled, against all these problems you had from your profession. And the world around us is rather difficult at the moment. When you could create an ideal world or a utopia, what would be the most important for you to be in there?
You know, my profession is to having ideas, utopias, visions, and now I thought always about what is a vision, and my vision is, there is maybe a personal vision, but when a client is come to me, my vision is to find the solution who makes everybody happy. That's good. For example, he get the house what he wants, but it's also sustainable. It's an economical success, and the people wants to live there. And there is the house has to do something with the city, or the house brings something to the city. Maybe the ground floor is with shops, or like a boulder hall or a badminton hall. So there's also the city gets something, and I think the community, city. I mean, with city, I mean the community, the people who live there, and every house should also be not only for a private person. She should also bring something for the city, for the community. That's, for example, that's a vision of mine. That's also why I tried to work for the city itself. Yeah, I tried that. It was a very interesting time. I was 7 years responsible for the city planning in Zurich. But I also have to learn that I'm probably not how do you say, not a political person, and I'm not an Verwaltung, how to say it, I'm not made for the administration. That's too, how do we say?
Too much.
Yeah, I need my freedom, I say it in this way. But I think, as an architect, our houses, our buildings should always bring something to the society or to the city or so. And that's, for example, that's a vision. And also I really like to think about the ideal city. What is a good city? Or For example, I really like to go to Venice, because Venice is like not the city as we know, because there's no cars, there's the water and the boats, and it's always. But at the end, it's because there are, for example, no cars. It's like you go there and you slow a little bit down, and everything is how do you say, human scale, or a human. This is and for example, that I really like that kind of city, and I really like this. It's also interesting that you, as an architect, when we built it in a modern way, but at the same time we like to go to Italy, to all these old cities, and drinking a coffee on the nice place, and how can we do or create these moments with the modern house, and I really think that's quite difficult.
We are here in the building called James, and when you enter the area, you have coffee, you have restaurants, you have a boulder hole, you have badminton. It's this vision. It's for everybody, not only for the people from James. And you have this institution down in the ground floor of a concierge. That's also,
but that was when we make this competition. This was an old factory area. We thought, and it was 20 years ago. This area wasn't like a housing quarter. We thought, how can we bring people from the city, from the old part of the city, or from Seefeld to this part, and we thought that we have to have something special. And then we made the proposal to having a concierge by the entrance, like you have it in every big house in the States. So we thought that is something you don't have in Zurich, and that's something new. And you come here, and then you have somebody who said, "Hello, how are you?" And I think that also has something to do with the quality of the everyday life. Yes. So, for example, and with this idea of James, or the house hasn't the name James. That was the idea of the how do you say the verb who makes the marketing. Yeah, when you have the concierge, then who is the concierge? Is the James. Okay. So that's what gives the name to this housing complex. And then we also had we are really focused on the ground floor. So we didn't know who is coming in, but we built the space that it was open for everything. Like you having a coffee, like having a boulder hole, or whatever. You're having a wash salon. That was really, we built that with this idle view to a good city.
So you realized it just, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago, and it's still the vision for...
Yeah, and I think it's function.
Yeah,
it's function. It's a part of the city, and the people coming here. It's beautiful to sit outside, having lunch or dinner, having a drink, and it's a part of the city. And it's also, we have our office here, and it's also interesting, for example, for employees to work on a place. You have you are here in the office the whole day, but you have the possibility to going down, having a coffee, drink something, or in the evening. Every Thursday we have the employees drinking the Thursday beer down there.
Yeah.
So it's it's also a chance to make the place where you work as attractive as possible.
A place of meeting place for others. So we are here, and I saw you have your employees. We had lunch together, which was very nice. And you have many young architects, I saw. You guide them, you hire them. And are there any advice you give them? When they enter here, you live it. But when they ask you, how do I proceed the best?
I think it's difficult to give advice.
Yeah.
Everybody should find it out by himself or herself. But I would give the advice to be focused, to be curious, to be focused, to find out what you're really interested in.
Yeah.
And when you are interested in something, in a profession, then you are happy, because I really believe that or in my life, my profession is also my life. I don't have this kind of work-life balance. No, I'm interested in architects, and to be an architect, I'd have to know a little bit about everything. Yeah. So I go through my daily life with open eyes, open ears, looking around, and always what I do, I always think maybe I can use it as an architect. So I really I really, you know, it's you asked me about ironing. So it's interesting when I build a house, and I can say, look, here you can iron your shirt. Or I really, for example, as an architect, I think it's really important that you know how to cook. For example, when you design a kitchen, you have to know how to cook. What happens? What kind of, where is the fridge? Where is you have to know that. And I think that's also, I'm really interested in the daily life, and I also think, okay, this is the daily life, this is the apartment, and then you have to bring the daily life in the apartment, and then it has to function. Mm-hmm. And I'm interested in these connections between life and the real life, and how to bring real life, as I said, in like that, to bring the real life in architecture. But I think it's always wrong if you feel the architect. So you have to be as an architect. It's not good that you think, oh, that's the architect's idea. You have to do that or do that. You have to, as an architect, you also have to go a step back and then leave it
to the resident. Yeah. So it's so interesting talking to you, because I can feel any cell of yours is architectural. You just smile and are happy when you talk about it. So, yeah, you're a happy person. Yeah.
I'm a happy person because I really like what I do.
And so,
and so, for example, when I really like also to cook, but when I cook, then I really think, I do it because I like it, and then maybe I learn something for the design when I go back to the office and say, oh, no, look, you have to do it like this. Yeah. But that's interesting when I have discussion with my employees. I always say, but hey, how do you cook? How you make your bed? You need space around your bed. Then you can make your bed. Don't you make your bed? So I think that's really, I'm interested in life, now the human beings, and then to transform it in my architects, and then my architect should serve the residents or serve to the people.
But that's very rare for architects, because many architects just build for themselves, for fame and money and everything.
Yeah.
But I think the key of all is that you aim to make the residents happy.
Yeah,
that's really, really nice.
And to respect their life, for example, or their wishes, or what they. Everybody has a dream. Everybody wants to be so like this. As an architect, I say it's okay, but it's your life. But I can help a little bit, and so. Yeah, for example, when I can remember, or when I go to friends or visit apartments, and always think how they function, how they live together, and for example, no, it's important. Yeah, so for example, work-life balance is nothing for me. I'm happy to be an architect, and an architect for me is life.
That's all.
That's all.
And you seem really happy, and we had a happy, inspiring talk. I thank you very much.
Thank you.